Before we continue with the video, I want to talk to you guys about today's video sponsor, anythingfootball.net. You'll be able to find the link to anythingfootball.net in the description down below, and as you scroll through the website you will see how many great football boots they have from a load of different top brands. And honestly, some of these football boots are absolutely stunning. They're genuinely works of art. And I'll put some examples on screen here. You can see just how nice some of these boots are. They really are stunning. But if you want to check them out for yourself, then use the link in the description down below and head to anythingfootball.net. Now back to the video. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today I want to get straight into things because we've got a lot to talk about. Because I want to try and break down what is wrong at Liverpool, and it's quite a big task to talk about it all because there are a lot of problems. Some of it is tactically from Klopp, some of it is individually from certain players, some of it is injuries, some of it is perhaps a loss of confidence or a loss of form. There's so much to get through here. And I actually want to start with, not this guy, I want to start from a more attacking point of view and talk about the problems that Liverpool are facing going forward. Now, that might come as a surprise because a lot of the focus recently has been on, lol, Liverpool can't defend. Trent can't defend. That's been a lot of the talk recently. But I want to focus on the attack first. And another reason that might come as a surprise is because if we look at the Premier League goal scoring table so far, Manchester City are top on 33, Arsenal on 23, Liverpool on 20. So at a glance it doesn't look too bad, so you might be thinking, why do I want to focus on the attack? But this is where the context to stats is important. Because 9 of these goals came against Bournemouth. Nothing, that's okay, it's okay that it was against Bournemouth, that's not the issue. What I'm talking about is if we take that game away, Liverpool, I've got it written down here, have 11 goals in 7 Premier League games. 11 goals in 7 Premier League games isn't really enough, and certainly not what we're used to with this Liverpool side. And especially it looks worse when you consider the fact that City are averaging more than 3 goals per 90. That's what Liverpool have been competing with for the past few seasons. This year they're not even close. And I'll be honest, I think it's been coming. We talk about someone like Mohamed Salah not scoring as many goals this season. But last season he underperformed his expected goals. I think the signs have been there. Now people will say, yeah, but Liverpool are still creating a load of chances. Eventually the goals will come. But is that actually true? That's what I want to look at. And this is their expected goals for a few different players. Well, you can see Roberto Firmino here. Liverpool's highest goal scorer so far this season with 6 goals. And his expected goals is about 4. So Roberto Firmino is overperforming his expected goals. If we look at Luis Diaz, 3 goals, 2.6 expected, so he is overperforming. If we look at Salah, 2 goals from 3.82, so Salah is underperforming by, I'll call it 2 goals based on Salah's typical standard. Carvalho, 2 goals, XG of 0.65, so he's overperforming quite well actually. And then Darwin Nunez, 2 goals from 3.4 XG. So again, that's 2 goals you lost out on. But what we're seeing here is if you go through the whole Liverpool squad in all competitions, their expected goals is 17.15 and they've scored 18. So they're pretty much on par. You see the issue here? This isn't a case of, I think this excludes European competition. I'm very sorry. I can't confirm that right now. I'm really sorry about that. Let me check it. So yeah, I just went back and confirmed that this is just in the Premier League because they've scored 20 in the Premier League, 2 of them are own goals, so they've scored 18. But what we can see is they've scored 18 from an expected 17, so the underlying numbers are Liverpool are on par, so there is a genuine creative issue here. Because 11 goals in 7 Premier League games, if we take out the Bournemouth game, isn't enough. And I think a lot of it comes down to Jurgen Klopp, but also a lot of it comes down to injuries as well. Now, you'll have to kind of excuse the starting 11 because there have been injuries, which means the starting 11 has changed quite a lot. This is just one example of the team they've used. Of course, Robertson has had minutes, Thiago has had minutes, Matip has had minutes, things like that. Firmino up top as well. But I think Liverpool are making some fundamental mistakes with their possession shape. And it comes from this man here, Thiago, being injured for most of the season so far. And also from the fact that Roberto Firmino isn't getting a lot of game time. So Liverpool's general approach is Darwin Nunez plays very high, pretty much on the last man. Luis Diaz comes inside, Tsimikas pushes forward. On the right hand side it's more often Salah providing the width. The right centre mid pushes further forward. We then have our 2 central midfielders who sit slightly deeper. Of course our 2 centre backs. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is taking up quite a narrow position at times. in this area here. And I'll be honest, right away, I don't necessarily think this suits all of the Liverpool players, particularly Alexander-Arnold and Salah. In my opinion, you're more than welcome to disagree, but I think Arnold is better wider simply because he has more time and more ability to then cross. It just makes more sense. And also, I think Salah is better moving inside to these areas where he can score 25 goals a season, rather than out here trying to be a bit more of a creator. So I think that is something that Klopp is getting wrong.
I am just going to quickly interrupt because we do have another sponsor for today's video, and that is jerseyfifa.com, the website you need to head to right away to get yourself the latest and greatest football shirts, all at an extremely affordable price. The link will be in the description below, so head there right away to get yourself a great shirt, again at a great price. Now back to the video.
I think this duo is the wrong way around. Also, with Trent kind of playing this area here and Harvey Elliott also coming inside, they're also kind of blocking Salah from coming inside. So Salah's being forced to hold a slightly wider position, sometimes higher than this, but I don't want to put it behind me. So that's an issue for me. The other issue is if we look in the middle of the pitch, there just isn't much creativity. And this comes for three reasons. Joel Matip being injured and missing a lot of games, Thiago being injured and missing a lot of games, Firmino not being used. So, let's talk about why that is. When Matip plays in the defence, he is an excellent ball progressor, always looking to step forward with the ball. Joe Gomez is a good footballer, he is not a great ball progressor. So instantly Liverpool have lost one method of ball progression down the middle of the pitch. Moving into midfield, let's talk about Jordan Henderson, a player who, in my opinion, right, you might like him as a footballer. I think he is detrimental to this Liverpool side. I think Liverpool are worse with Jordan Henderson in the team. And on the ball, he is not a progressive passer, and he is also not creative. So again, if we compare that to Thiago, Thiago is a very progressive passer, and is also very creative, very technically clean with the ball. So again, Liverpool have lost a method of ball progression down the middle of the pitch. And then up front, Darwin Nunez. Now, Darwin Nunez is a great striker. He's got a lot of good attributes. He's a decent goal scorer, he's very physical, his movement is good, but in my opinion he is best on transition, where there's space to get in behind defenders, things like that. In sustained attacks where you're trying to break your team down, he's an okay target in the box, but he actually isn't the greatest header in the world. But what he doesn't offer is any link play at all. And this is what I was worried about when he signed for the club. What we've seen a lot of from the last few seasons from Liverpool is Mo Salah, Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino all playing really close to each other and firing lots of quick interchanging passes into each other. We're not seeing that. 1, because Salah is so far wide, 2, because Mane's been sold, and 3, because Firmino isn't getting played. Darwin Nunez, he's a good player, he's a good box player, but he just doesn't offer this link play. So now if we look at it, where is the creativity in the centre of the pitch for Liverpool? Now, maybe that's the reason Alexander-Arnold is playing narrower, but at the moment he's still creating chances, but not to the incredible level that he was before. Now, that's not even necessarily criticism, because he set such a high bar creatively that it's very hard to sustain that standard. And when it dips a little bit, he doesn't look very good. But I'm not too concerned about Trent going forward. I don't think it's an issue. But I do think it is an issue that Liverpool just have no creativity in the middle of the pitch. Now, in terms of this, in terms of attacking going forward, if I was a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't be too concerned, because Thiago is kind of getting his way back into the team, Matip's getting his way back into the team. We will see greater ball progression in the middle of the pitch, which in turn leads to better creativity because there's more of the ball in the final third, more attacking opportunities because those deep players are progressing the ball. I would very much consider Firmino in the starting 11 though, because Darwin Nunez is just not offering much against low blocks. Now, perhaps against the bigger teams where Liverpool can play slightly more transitional football, perhaps Darwin Nunez then comes back into the team. But right now, I just think that Roberto Firmino offers a little bit more. He just offers that link play a bit better. So that's my thought on things moving forward. Yes, Liverpool have scored a lot of goals, but it's misleading. They're not creating many chances, but I do think get certain players fit and consistently fit, I think they'll be okay. For me, the bigger concern is what is going on at the back, because Liverpool are a mess. They are an absolute mess. So one of the reasons that I think Liverpool are a mess at the back is because they're not doing the right things at the front. Now, just let me explain that. Because defending is very much a team game. You can't have your attack attacks, your defence defends. Football involves everyone. And off the ball, Liverpool are not counter-pressing and generally pressing anywhere near as high, but also not with the same intensity that they have been in the past few seasons. This Liverpool side is known for their intensity out of possession, as well as on the ball. But it's their intensity off the ball, the high pressing, winning the ball back high up the pitch, which has masked errors at the back. Because if you press the opposition extremely high, they physically can't expose you at the back because they don't get the ball, because you instantly win it back off them. So that is one of the errors that they are making. Another of the errors is again the attacking shape. Trent Alexander-Arnold is being used in an area where, without the right midfielders around him, he's coming in narrow, but no one is covering for his space. Now, a few years ago, let's talk 3 seasons ago, Jordan Henderson was the right central midfielder, Wijnaldum was the left central midfielder. They'd done an excellent job of covering for the fullbacks. At the moment, Liverpool are playing an attack-minded right-sided midfielder, and then moving Alexander-Arnold narrow. So Arnold's too narrow, which means there's then counter-attacking opportunities. And then the last thing is there is far too much space. Liverpool are leaving these spaces in this wide area in particular out here to the right side of Gomez or Matip, in behind Alexander-Arnold. That is where teams are targeting. Let's say I am a team that has just won the ball back off Liverpool in my own defensive third, or even in the middle third, and I'm looking to counter-attack. Where is the clear area to target? Well, there's 2 of them in fact. One is where this number 7 is here, and the other is where this number 11 is up here. There is so much space in these wide areas. Tsimikas is pushed forward on this side, Alexander-Arnold is narrow on this side, so there is clear space. Now, the reasons for that space is obviously the fullbacks are pushing high, but also because Harvey Elliott, the right-sided central midfielder, is pushing forward, and also because Jordan Henderson at left centre mid is in horrible form. Truly awful. Off the ball, like I said, he is detrimental to the way that Liverpool play. And again, some of that does come down to injury, because Thiago is better at it. He's still not great at it, it's not ideal, but he is much better at it than what Jordan Henderson is. At the moment, these spaces are there, and like I said, if I'm the opposition and I win the ball back, it's quite clear where I'm going to attack. It's this side of the pitch. So what teams seem to do is they seem to build the ball on the right side, get Liverpool pressing over like this, and then they switch it and go the other way, because Trent Alexander-Arnold is playing such a weird position off the ball. Like, it's such a weird area. But now look what Joe Gomez has to cover. Joe Gomez now has to cover so much space. So when the ball eventually gets worked out here, that's where your right back should be. Your right back has to be there. But because he's not, Joe Gomez or Joel Matip, whoever it may be at the time, now has to come across and cover this. Van Dijk now has more space to cover because Gomez has more space to cover, which then means Tsimikas has more space to cover. It genuinely is as simple as that. If your defenders have more space to cover each individually, of course they're going to struggle more. It's obvious, and we've seen it in some of the goals they've been conceding this season. So this is the first one I want to talk about here. Alexander-Arnold at right back, he's not in a horrible position, he isn't too narrow on this occasion, but he just isn't aggressive enough. We can see Harvey Elliott, the right-sided central midfielder that we were talking about, not providing the defensive cover to get in on Eriksen, and Gomez is coming across to try and help out. Look at our gap between Gomez and Van Dijk. I don't know what Dijk's doing, I'll be honest with you. Robertson clearly has Jadon Sancho here. Van Dijk is doing something. Manchester United play a quick 1-2 in behind the defence here. Now look at the space that Jadon Sancho has on the edge. Van Dijk's positioning, this whole move, is just awful. But look at the gap between the Liverpool centre-backs the whole time. The gap between the centre-backs is not okay. That can't be happening. Now, I do think we need to kind of put a little bit of perspective to it and say the partnership at the back has been shifted about a lot, with Joel Matip coming in and out of the team with injury, Konate, of course, missing, Gomez, like I said, sometimes right back, sometimes centre back. That doesn't help, because particularly in defence, you need to build partnerships and understandings. So that is some of the reason for this gap, but also just tactically, it doesn't work. It does not work. The gap between the centre backs are far too big. And then in other goals like this, Liverpool are here, right? They've just lost the ball and they're in quite a high position. But look at the intensity of the players. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Liverpool players standing literally perfectly still. And I'm not quite sure what player this is here on the ball. He is at least pressing. The others are perfectly still. We wouldn't have seen that from Liverpool before. There's a lack of pressure on the ball and it allows Palace to get out from the back. It goes to the left, the side that everyone targets. Alexander-Arnold isn't in a defensive position. He's now on the wrong side of the ball. Fabinho tries to cover and gets done. His form isn't good enough either. But now look at the gaps again. This time, at least our centre-backs are within 50 yards of each other, which is nice. But look at the gap from the defence to the midfield. That's the issue on this one. The gap is so big, it's so easy. Zaha races in on goal. Van Dijk kind of comes across, but doesn't really do anything. He kind of gets there and then stops. And it's in the back of the net. And I feel sorry for Alisson. Because he's just being hung out to dry, basically. Last season, he was absolutely brilliant, which perhaps points to the fact that we should have expected this. Liverpool weren't great defensively last year, but Alisson's standard was incredibly high, particularly in 1v1s. This season, because he isn't saving a ridiculous amount of chances, Liverpool are conceding more. So that's not me criticising Alisson. I'm saying because he was like Superman last year, because he's now not Superman this year, it means Liverpool are conceding more, and it makes the defence look so much worse. And Klopp has a lot to answer for, because a lot of what I'm saying is coming from issues with the attacking setup. Salah playing too wide, Harvey Elliott at times playing too high, the wrong striker playing, Trent Alexander-Arnold playing too narrow, and then not making up for that by moving other players. The team not pressing high enough. These are all issues that Klopp has to try to figure out. Like I said, in terms of the attack, I think that will kind of sort itself out as players return. When Matip returns properly and consistently, same for Thiago, I think Liverpool will be okay. There are still changes that I would make personally. I would swap Salah and Alexander-Arnold, and I would bring Firmino into the team as well. I think Liverpool's attack will be okay. The issue is the defence, because they've got a horrible combination right now of a midfield that won't protect the defence, it's not capable of it, a right-back whose confidence is in the mud. He's never been a good defensive full-back, but right now his confidence, it's got to be so low. Klopp's got to help him out. In terms of systematically, Klopp's got to help him out. He's just leaving him, he's setting him up for failure, basically. And then centre-backs which are either injured in Matip, Gomez, Kanate, or in horrible form, which is the case with Van Dijk. Now again, part of that is because the team structure isn't good enough, but also individually he isn't good enough. Liverpool have a lot of issues. In terms of on the ball, I think they'll be okay. If I was a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't stress too much. I would be concerned about the defensive side of the game. But let me know what you think. If you're a Liverpool fan, get in the comments down below. What are you worried about? Do you think it's as bad as everyone is making out? Or do you think the situation's not too bad? It'll kind of settle itself out over the course of the season. What now are your aims and expectations for the rest of the season? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. It has been a longer one, but there was a lot to talk about. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.